All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Collaboration in Aging, where three organizations have joined forces to bring together over 300 people across the entire senior care journey to come together and collaborate, educate, and inspire a future in aging that we all want to live into. I am thrilled to be here with Mr. Louie Gravance, author of Service Is A Superpower, and often referred to as the guy that can make Disney service concepts actually work outside of Disney. I love that, Louie. Welcome.
Thank you, Katherine. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, really exciting to be speaking to you today. And, we're not here to make senior care a Disneyland or Disney World, but there are a lot of concepts in Disney that are applicable in our industry, especially now after COVID, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, you wouldn't want to do the Disney show, but you are doing a performance. You are telling a story every day like Disney is. It's a different story, but it is a story being enacted by people minute to minute, in the same way. You have an opening shot, the same way that Disney has when they come in. You have people that are like characters that represent the narrative, that when people think about your character, it's the people, that the characters and the experiences they've had. There's more in common than you might also, you've already lit a fire under me. Because I always like to say here that when people talk about performance technique in business, it was almost founded in the healthcare industry, because one of the first agreed upon terms we have for a performance technique in business is called a bedside manner.
Mm-hmm.
What a bedside manner is a performance technique of a caregiver to facilitate a moment. Like I've always said, caregivers are not going to walk in. Like I always use the thing, oh, there's something really wrong with my ear, and I go to the doctor, and that doctor, she comes in or he comes in, and they look in my ear with the utensil, the light.
Yep.
And imagine they see something terrible. The doctor is not going to go, oh, I'm out. Even though I have been told that sometimes we are shocking the way we present ourselves. So I think that performance technique has been going on in the healthcare industry from the beginning, and it maybe has not really been categorized or meditated upon as such.
That's really interesting to think about it that way. And if you think about a senior living community, you talked about that opening moment, and that for a family member is the moment they walk in your door, or even just drive up. What does it look like on the outside? Is there life? Does it look like it's well cared for?
What does it sound like? What does it smell like? All that hits you at once, the same way when you're standing in front of that Disney gate and you see the castle, you hear Jiminy Cricket, you smell the popcorn. You know what I mean? It's the same thing when you walk into a casino. I always think when you walk into a casino, doesn't matter whether the casino's grand or tiny or whatever. Once you walk in that door, you're going to hear the same thing. You're going to hear that sound, and you're going to smell nicotine in the only place that you're still going to, you would almost think, what's wrong if you didn't smell cigarette smoke? Not if you want to, but it would be weird if it wasn't there. So
it's very true. That's really interesting. I didn't think about that. Smell, of course, is a very strong, connector for all of us, and brings up emotions and memories and things like that.
But we were looking for a healthcare facility for my mother-in-law. Mm-hmm. This is going to sound weird, but we went and visited one. And
wait, is it a healthcare or a senior living?
Senior living.
Okay.
And we were checking them out, and one of them looked great, but and this is going to sound strange, we walked in, and our dog put on the brakes. And was sniffing around in this odd way. That the dog, it was the most curious thing, and it made us do a double take. So yeah. Some of us are very aromatically oriented.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really interesting story, and I wonder how many people have an initial reaction the moment they walk in. For me, I'm looking for a friendly face. I'm
Yes.
looking for a concierge at the front or somebody at the front who's greeting me
Uh-huh.
and saying, "Hey, I'm so glad you're here," and almost knowing. So I had both my parents in senior care, senior living. I would have loved it if they would have said, "Oh gosh, Kathy, it is so great to see you today. I saw your mom at lunch this or breakfast this morning and she's doing great and your dad's upstairs." It would have been nice to have some sort of connection. And I think about that in your book, Service is a Superpower. And it's something that we know inherently in the industry of senior living and senior care, that service is so important. And I think sometimes it's not as broad because we're focused on the health well-being of the resident and the person in our care.
And the
But
task, the
yeah,
task that's being thrown at you constantly. What I find about folks in the healthcare industry, more than any other industry I work in, there's an unusual burnout because it attracts people that are emotionally wired to serve.
yeah.
They are, they tend to be right brain oriented. Then what happens is there's this barrage of task and rules and potential litigation, all those things that make it difficult to do the most important thing in delivering a service moment, no matter where. And that's the ability to see the moment through the eyes of the end customer or the patient or the guest. Or in your case, often to be able to look at it like we're talking about. How do you put yourself in that family member's eyes when they walk in? And when you walk in every day, can you see it? How are you able to see it for the first time? And this is what we talk about. Well, I'll talk about is how do you facilitate a reconnection memory that puts you back into that consciousness when everything is competing for your attention?
Wow. That is one of the things we hear more often than anything else is we're overworked and we have too many things. We're too busy to stop and really think about rethinking things or spending more time communicating. We're already too busy. So I find that really interesting. And I want to share a little the way that I perceive one of the stories that you tell often is if I am that person at Disney who is in the Winnie the Pooh costume and it's 100 degrees outside and I'm in this Winnie the Pooh costume all day and I have my breaks and things, but I'm standing there and I'm pretty warm. And
And
I
you're
see,
smelling what it smells like to be in that head, and
oh,
you're feeling the heat, and you're hearing the same music on a loop
oh my
constantly. Okay, go on. I want to.
get the experience. Yeah, that's the experience that they're having. And then they see the same story playing out over and over in front of them, which is often a mom with 3 kids and one has to go to the bathroom and one needs a drink and the other wants to hug Winnie the Pooh and trying to just kind of deal with all of that as the mom. How do you in that experience as Winnie the Pooh give that child, those 3 children and that mom a brand new experience each time that story plays? And we see this a lot in senior care because it's the same stories playing out in front of us.
Okay, I'm gonna come at this an odd way.
Okay.
In my show business life, I spent time working with some of the greatest improvisational actors there are in our country. I could never, on a tier far above me. And I appeared on stage with them hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. And what I can tell you is 80% of what came out of their mouth, seemingly for the first time, had come out of their mouth before, but had been categorized and put in what we would call a bag of tricks. Now, 20% of what was coming out of their mouth had never happened before, and they were trying things out. They were feeling out that moment. That worked, I'll keep it. That didn't work, I won't keep it. But when you're looking at Robin Williams, and it seems like this guy is coming up with it, this is the difference between a great singer and a good one, a great storyteller and a good one, a great caregiver, and a good one. The ability to create the illusion of spontaneity. Nothing is going on in a Disney hotel that's not going on in any hotel, but there's this illusion of spontaneity that something is happening uniquely for you at this moment that's never happened before. And the way to ground that moment is, as I'm saying, is going to be in a bunch of ways. One is the recognition, the way we recognize what we've done. We are very poor. I would imagine that most of your members and fellow team members couldn't remember the last time that they went home and actually considered who was living a better life this moment because of something they did. When was the last time you stopped, appreciated your ignorance for a moment, appreciated that you didn't know something for a moment, because you can't get a ship in a bottle till it's empty. So the first thing you do is you stop, even if it's just for a second, appreciate your ignorance and that you don't know what to do so that you can leave the space open that you can. And then this is where you have to start collecting what I call reconnection memories. You have to things that bring you back into the head of those kids, bring you back into the head of that mother so that you're seeing it their way and not your way. Because what we tend to do is, you're professionals. You're seeing clues, and what we can do is we can prejudge an outcome. And when we prejudge an outcome, we forget the most important thing in service. We don't know where these people have just come from. We don't know where they're going. All we know is now. All we can facilitate is now. And importantly, those nows we facilitate identify what we're willing to be. Not what we're willing to do necessarily, but what we're willing to be. And there's a big difference. And so it's not about what we're doing, it's about what we're being. And that's the consciousness you want to get your head in when tasks start. I used to have this thing, if a kid threw a penny at me, that used to set me, that was my Achilles heel. If I was out on stage and I was given 100% in the 90-degree heat, and this was my thing. If a kid threw a penny, it took me a good 5-10 seconds to reground and not walk off the stage.
I can imagine. Yeah.
And grab them. So we need also, there's one other thing, and we're going to go off here, in the way that we recognize ourselves and our team members. If you study human resource or any kind of conflict resolution, we're going to talk about this in the session, there's always basically 4 steps. You open in a safe manner with whomever you're speaking with. You identify and isolate whatever the challenge is. The 3rd step is you agree upon some next step plan. And then the 4th step is you close in a positive way where you let the person know that they can be a success. And in the old days, like at Disney, you'd say, and if you do this and this, you'll be an even bigger success in the Disney show. Well, nowadays, nobody wants to be the star of the Disney show, or what they want their work life to do is to make them a greater and bigger star and moving force in the story they're telling. So we've created, in all these years, we've created a workforce that's mercenary to a degree. So I say we go there and say, and answer the question, this is what's in it for you. This is what, besides the money, we need to learn how to articulate. If you exceed patients' expectations in those moments, it's going to be great for our organization, and it's going to be great for those patients. But every encounter is going to make you stronger, so that no matter what circumstance happens, you'll come out of this stronger than you came in by virtue of what you've been willing to self-invest. This is the way we need to start talking and training and coaching.
This is so powerful, Louie, and we cannot wait to have you on stage at our event. So there you have it, everyone. That is a little taste of Mr. Louie Gravance. And things he's going to be sharing at our event in September 16th and 17th in Denver, Colorado. It is in person. Get your tickets online. The websites are there. This is a collaboration between 3 organizations: Mavericks of Senior Living, Greater Denver Placement Resource Alliance. I always get that wrong, so I had to write it down. And Colorado Assisted Living Association, because it takes a village. So we're coming together as a village. We have a lot of really great surprises for you. Mr. Louie Gravance is one of them. You can also get his book there, but also I encourage you to go on Amazon and check it out and read it beforehand, because you'll probably get even more out of his sessions. Louie, I really want to highlight one thing you said is, how often do we go home and say to ourselves, how many lives did I impact today? Or whose lives did I impact today?
Or save.
Yes. Or save. Yeah. And save, and in the physical sense, but also sometimes in the emotional sense, because I know the caregivers who took care of my parents, who often saved my parents in that moment in a very emotional sense. And I will always have the deepest gratitude for the people who work in this industry.
Oh, there is great power in the peace that's provided by knowing that's something that you don't have to worry about. That's you said it more articulately.
It's beautiful. So we're very excited to see you in person live at our event. Everybody, thanks for joining us today. And please make sure to go get your tickets. We have the extra early bird special happening right now. That won't last forever, so go get your tickets. And if you have questions, reach out to us on our Facebook page and we'll get right back to you. Thank you, Louie, for joining us today.
Thank you, Katherine. I'm looking forward to it.
Everybody have a great day.